Hi everybody, this is Sheila Canton-Wine and I want to quickly show you how to play this 6th grade math review game. This is part 1 of 2, so there's a second game that is very similar. It has the same categories and it has the same number of questions. So lots of amazing review for your 6th grade students. This is also a great review if you are a 7th grade teacher for the beginning of the school year. You can kind of help your students review the 6th grade math topics. So I'm going to go ahead and pop out of this really quick and just show you a little bit of the PowerPoint. Now you could play this in PowerPoint or you could also play this in Google Slides. So there are some game instructions here, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how you would play the game with your students. So you're going to choose slideshow, play from current slide. Here's this game title slide that I showed you initially. And then all you're going to do is click once, and here you are at the game board. And like I mentioned, this is part 1. There is a second game with similar questions, meaning the same categories, but the questions are different. So you get lots of great review. So these are the 5 categories. These are the 5 different points for each question. They do increase in difficulty. So the 100 questions are a lot easier than the 500 questions. And what you're going to do is you're going to have your students group into 4 or 5 groups depending on how many students you have, and then within each group you're going to have one student who is going to be the team or the group leader. So that one student is the one who's going to be asking the questions and giving you the answers. All right, so you're going to say, team 1, what is your question? And let's say they say we would like number system for 400 points. So all you do is click on this 400 here, and here you get to your question, number system 400 points. So here's the question, and you're going to leave some time for that group to go ahead and answer the question. I like to encourage all of the groups to answer the question. It makes sure that your whole class is engaged, and then there's always the possibility that the group you picked or the group that you called on is going to get the question incorrect. And when that happens, I always tell the other groups that they have the option to answer correctly, and then they can steal the points. So you're going to go ahead and click one time. Here's the answer. And then if it is correct, you're going to assign those points to your group. If it's incorrect, you have 2 options. You can either subtract those points or you can just let it be and then give the points to another group who has answered the question correctly. I tended to not subtract points just because it would discourage a lot of the students if they lost points, but that's entirely up to you. So you have the question, you've got the answer, you've assigned your points, and then you're going to go ahead and click down here, which is where you go back to the game board. And when you do, you see that number system is grayed out. So that tells us we've already answered that question. We can choose another one. Now, I'm playing this in PowerPoint. If you do use Google Slides, this will not gray out. It's just not an option with the functionality with Google Slides, unfortunately. So you would just keep playing the game. You would say, group 2, what is your question? And they say geometry for 200. So you click on the 200 here. Here is your question, geometry 200. Give them some time to answer it. Click once, here's the answer. And I try to give extra information if possible. So I kind of write the question out just so you can remind the students what the formula is and what the math is that was involved in answering it. And then again, you're going to assign the points, whether it's correct or not, and then you're going to come back to the game board. And then you're just going to go through all these questions here, clicking one at a time with questions and the answers. And once they're all done, you're going to go to the final Jeopardy. So to go to the final Jeopardy, you're just going to click over here. Here's your final Jeopardy. Click again, and here are the rules. So I just went ahead and picked a category. You can change that depending on what you want to ask your students. And what you're going to do is you're going to have them use a little Post-it or a little slip of paper, and they're going to write 3 things. They're going to write the name of their group, so like group 1, group 2, or maybe they've assigned fun names for their groups. The second thing you're going to have them put is how many points they're going to wager. So they're either going to add or subtract those points depending on whether their answer is correct or incorrect. And the third thing that you're going to ask them is, what is the answer to the question? Okay, so they've gone ahead and filled out the first two things here, and then you're going to go ahead and give them the question. So this is the question, and then again, to get to the answer, you click once, and here's the answer. And then you're just going to look at the little slips of paper. If they're correct, then they will add points depending on how much they've wagered. If it's incorrect, you will subtract the points. So that's pretty much it. So that's the first game. The second game is very similar, but I do want to show you some functions in the PowerPoint just to kind of give you some ideas of what you can do. So a lot of it is editable. Pretty much all the text is editable. So you can come in here and you can change the title, you can change the categories, you can assign different point values. I know sometimes on the second game, teachers like to do 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000. You could do that. You can also rewrite the questions here. So you could type a different category. You could write a different question here. Just remember that if you do rewrite the question, you need to make sure that you rewrite it on the following slide. So this would be the question slide. This is slide 4. And then, let me move this over a little bit. So this is slide 4. This is the question here. And then slide 5 has the answer. So just make sure that if you change it, that you're going to change both slides there. And then also on the bottom in the notes section, I do have the Common Core alignment. So this is really helpful. Let's say that you're down and you ask this one question. Let's say students are really struggling with the area of the triangle. You know that this is the Common Core standard for that, and maybe that's something you need to look at before the end of year testing. So it's really helpful to be able to go back and look at what questions might be helpful to review. And then, like I said, the final Jeopardy question, the answer, and all the directions are editable as well. So lots of flexibility with this. So you have the two games, part 1 and part 2, but I also did have some great suggestions from teachers about creating additional games. So what would happen is they would play the two games with their students, and then they would say, let's play again, we want to play again. And of course the teacher doesn't want to, you don't want to repeat the questions. And so what you could do is you could assign questions to the students, kind of like a stump your classmate kind of activity where they would write the questions and answers. And then you can just go ahead. I wouldn't rewrite over these original ones. I would just do a new file. But basically all you would do is just type new questions and answers here, and you would have a totally new game that you could play. And if you did this over a couple of years, you'd have a ton of review games to play. So that would be really, really fun. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a great day.